assumptions that I make about life and how I value it. You make your assumption that God is real, and as a result, you make those his views and his morality as you see it yours. We make ours as extended through logic, where basic assumptions ours. And so, in a sense, we're just both starting from some assumption somewhere that we cannot prove. Both.
And all I'm trying to say is this: I am the greatest. I am the greatest. I am the greatest.
Yeah.
Okay, why, Cliffe? Why are you the greatest? Because I affirm that I am the greatest. Well, Cliffe, that's wonderful that you think so positively about yourself. But someday you're going to have to get in touch with reality, Cliffe. And reality is, you're not the greatest, Cliffe. I want to get in touch with reality. And if reality is that I'm a hunk of primordial slime, evolved to a higher order, I'm not going to go around saying, I have worth, I have value. No, sir, I'm going to face reality. And reality is, there's no difference between me and the leaf, between me and the stone. I just exist. So does the tree. So does the rock. And I'm not going to go around saying, we human beings have this intrinsic value. We don't, sir. Our number came up in a Monte Carlo game. This whole thing's an accident. That's all it is.
Even as an accident, if someone punches me, I care. I don't know about you.
You hurt. You hurt. Someone punches you, you're hurt. You say, hey, man, please don't punch me. It hurts. Fine. But that's all there is.
I don't think it's such a bad thing for us to take our original assumptions, our original values about our own lives, and then apply it to others. I trust my fellow people enough to do that. I don't see a problem with that.
What's wrong with being greedy?
What?
What's wrong with being greedy?
Some people would make the argument that there's not. I mean, I could go around kissing up to all of my professors and a lot of my friends. There's not a problem with that, especially if it gives me better grades and makes me more money in the future.
Yeah.
I happen to think that's not right, and that isn't the thing I would agree. I'd have a hard time arguing. It's just something I don't like, people kissing up to me. And
Okay.
if I do it to other people, I have a hard time doing that. I have a hard time being a hypocrite in a lot of ways. So
What's wrong with being a hypocrite?
Thing, but it almost doesn't matter what I do. It almost doesn't matter. It's my choice that I don't
Yeah.
like hypocritical things a lot. My mind actually wants things to make sense and be consistent. That's just something that if
Good.
it's not my way, it bothers me.
All right.
That's it. I can take the choice of, taking what makes me feel okay. Now, I can't always go and apply everything I think to everybody else around me. And I'm not even going to try to because I know we're different. I've lived this experience. However, in the things that we're talking about morality-wise, killing people, raping people, yeah, I can assume that everybody else around me probably doesn't want that, and I don't think I'd gain anything from it anyway. But even if I did, I would fight those temptations just because I chose to be better than them in my own world. I'd like to think enough of these people would without Jesus and without God. So I don't see the despair and the need.
Just listen to all the language you use. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I want to be better. See, all that language implies that there are some real values out there that you really treasure. Now, I applaud that. But you see, sir, if there is no God, all these values that you and I treasure are totally arbitrary. They're just personal biases.
Yeah.
What is wrong with kissing up to someone if it's going to help you buy a BMW and have a nicer vacation at the seashore?
I'm not going to put anyone in jail.
What is wrong with being a hypocrite if it's going to help you climb the corporate ladder, if it's going to make you feel better? What's wrong with lying? What's wrong with cheating?
What punishment am I doing to any one of those people? I'm not sending anyone to hell, which is slightly different than what's kind of coming from in your realm. So I don't see, even if I personally don't like someone being greedy, I understand that's a fairly arbitrary thing. I agree with them.
Yeah, but you see, so much of the way you live your life is based on ideas that these values are real.
I don't think they are real to me, and that's all that matters. Now, if I start doing something that people around me think is considerably wrong, they choose to put me in jail. Okay, I suffer. That's the way it plays out.
Okay, but please be consistent. You mentioned before that you want to be consistent. When you say these values are real to me, I hope you're realizing that although these values are real to me, That is an illusion that I am choosing to embrace, and I'm trying to hold on to it with blind faith.
That's working around the definition of
Well, that's true. Come on, sir, that's accurate what I just told you.
what?
You know that if there are no moral absolutes, these values that you treasure so much are an illusion that you have created in your head. And you're holding on to the illusion as strong as you can because it makes you feel better.
I don't have any illusions as to them being, this is the way the world really is. This thing is, I don't think evil is something you can really apply to this world. I almost wish we were in some fantasy world where we had good and evil and I could choose the right side to be on. I don't see anything as being absolutely good or bad in that sense. I will agree. I have made my assumption as to what I value, and I've based the rest off of that.
Okay, and if I tell you that last night I date raped, you cannot tell me that I did absolute evil, correct?
Correct.
You can tell me, well, Cliff, from your perspective, that was good. So it's good. From my perspective, it's wrong, but that's just my perspective, and it's all relative. But you see, I don't think you're going to live that out, are you? Are you really going to look me in the face and say, oh, Cliff, you date raped last night. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, I hope, if you want to do it again tonight, that's your trip. That's your definition of good. I mean, is that the way you're going to live? Do you really think about a Nazi gassing a Jew in Dachau and Auschwitz and say, well, for me that would be wrong, but for them it's right?
Why doesn't that... So what's right and wrong is dependent on what God wants.
Moral absolutes depend upon there being a God who has created and defined those moral absolutes. If there is no God, there are no moral absolutes. But you see, here's why moral relativism is really impossible. If you're a moral relativist, then this is what I want you to do. I want you to think about your opinion about battered wives, abused children, bashing gays, and abortion. Okay, think about your position. Okay, now whatever your position is, if you're a moral relativist, what you have to acknowledge is the opposite of what you believe is equally valid. Whatever your position is on battered wives, abused children, bashing gays, and abortion, whatever your position is, if you're a moral relativist, you have to acknowledge that the opposite of what you believe is equally valid. How on earth can you live that out? It's impossible. And see, that's why all my moral relativist friends break down, because they just can't be consistent with their belief system. You can't live that out. See, that's one of my strongest pieces of evidence that indeed there is a God of some type. That this argument has nothing to do with Jesus, okay? But it has everything to do with, is there a mind prior to the human mind that creates and defines right and wrong, and then gives you and me a conscience, and you and I, by exercising our consciences in responsible ways, can begin to understand right and wrong, good and evil.
But, all right, if God had defined right and wrong differently, would that make different things right and wrong? I mean, could he have defined right and wrong so that murder would have been good and hate?
Good, right. Okay, now that's a real difficult question. The question is, if God would have defined murder as being good, would that have made murder good? Can you see, sir, the reason I can't answer that is because I have no experience in that type of world. Okay? I have none whatsoever. You see, I have a conscience that informs me murder is evil. And then I've got a God who's revealed that he is good, that human life has intrinsic value. That is why murder is absolutely evil.